This is a video that some of you might have seen doing the rounds on Twitter. Female pool player Lynn Pinches refuses to play transgender opponent and walks off. The protest follows last month's World 8-Ball Pool Federation decision to allow transgender players to compete against women. A pool player has forfeited her chance to win a top national title in protest at the sport allowing a transgender woman to compete against NATO females. NATO females, is that the term we're using now? Lynn Pinches told Telegraph Sports she had turned down an invitation to turn full-time professional amid her despair at a U-turn in international rules. On Saturday, Pinches was cheered by spectators as she picked up her cue and refused to play as the final of her Ladies' Champions of Champions got underway. Her opponent, Harriet Haynes, reacted with bemusement before later picking up the trophy by default. And see the reaction of everybody in the crowd when she did that. When she went, yeah, I'm not playing, I'm packing up and I'm going home. The reaction of everybody in that crowd kind of gives an indication of how the wider public feel. Walking out was the toughest thing I've ever had to do in the game in my life, said Pinches 50 from Norwich. I have played 30 years and I have never even conceded so much as a frame, never mind a match. This was only my fourth final ever, but the trophy or money meant nothing to me without fairness. And that's what I said to the tournament director afterwards. Pinches, who still received £500 as a tournament runner up in the English Pool Association event, is among a host of female players left devastated in recent weeks after a redrafting of restrictions. Players claim they had received assurances that transgender women or non-binary players would be stopped from competing against females. However, the World 8-Ball Pool Federation and Ultimate Pool Group instead stated last month in new guidance that transgender and non-binary players will be able to participate in the women's series. The devastation I have felt, I can't even explain, said Pinches, whose son, brother, and father all played pool or snooker at elite levels. I didn't sleep or eat properly for 2 days. I was crying until 3 a.m. I was devastated. My son Tommy, who plays on the Ultimate Pool Challenger series, messaged me and said, I know you must be absolutely devastated, Mum, because I know that you've hated this since the beginning. He really wanted to write it on his Facebook, but he was worried he'd get banned. And that's what pushed me over the edge, to be honest. I thought, you've silenced me for years, you're not silencing my child as well. I'm not putting up with that. I don't care about the money or the title or the trophy, I care about fairness. If they hadn't done that U-turn, we wouldn't be here now. We were also elated when they originally said they were going to have a strict category for biological females. Pinches says she has transgender friends and her protest was not to cause any hurt feelings. I would never ever do that to embarrass anybody, but no one cares how humiliating it is for us as women, she added. English Pool Association guidance states any trans person, male or female, is permitted to participate fully, i.e. train, play in informal matches or play in pool competitions in their affirmed gender. Verification of their sex should be no more than is expected of any other player. The updated World 8-Ball Pool Federation and Ultimate Pool Group says, providing regulatory conditions are met, transgender and non-binary players will be able to participate in the women's series across World 8-Ball Pool Federation and Ultimate Pool Group events. Pinches described how she has been in the form of her life since going teetotal around 3 years ago. Having made a top 20 ranking on the Ultimate Pool Tour, she was offered a professional spot for next year. That's the first time in my career that I'd been asked, and I'd paid £200 for the spot, but when they did the U-turn, I got my money back, she added. My trust has just gone out the window. More than 60 professional female pool players are said to have joined forces through a WhatsApp support group. Alexandra Kuna, who is fifth in the international rankings, also vowed never to play transgender players in protest at recent rulings. Players calling for tougher restrictions claim transgender women often have greater upper body strength, enabling them to make a more powerful initial break. Also, tracking movements as well. There's a lot of different things. Basically, men and women are different. Did you know that? There's a lot of different things that basically any kind of, even though like pool and snooker isn't exactly the most physical of sports, right? It's not. That's why they've got it in pubs. It's why I could play it. Right, because it's not the most physical of sports. It's still, on some level, is physical. So anything physical, men have an advantage. Right? You ever fought a woman? You win every time. You win every time, man. I mean, I'm like fucking 8-0 for the amount of women I've beat up. You know, they can barely fight, they cry. You know that this bit's getting a little bit fucked up, isn't it? Sharon Davies, the Olympian swimmer and campaigner for women's sport, told Telegraph Sport that pool was another example of a sport failing to put safety and fairness first. Both UK government and UK sport have told sports NGBs, based on the peer-reviewed science, that they ought to prioritise safety and fairness for females first, Davies added. It's simply sex discrimination after decades of women's sport being treated badly. It's having a huge effect on the mental health of female sportswomen who are being told by their sports federations that their right to fair sport just doesn't matter. I'm keen to ask governments to do more than just ask NGBs to do the right thing, then be ignored. Pardon. It's time for sportswomen to take action together and also for government to remove UK sport funding from those sports that just don't care about their female athletes. Athletics, cycling and swimming have all changed their transgender policies in the last 12 months, while both codes of rugby have also moved to protect sport for biologically born women. Jesus Christ. Imagine you're in the scrum and you're ready to go and you just look up and it's just this big, there's no even a neck, it's just a giant vein, just like, it's ma'am. Like that, man. Imagine letting, I would not let my daughter play rugby against someone like that. Jesus Christ. But basically, this is all coming to a head badly. It's all coming to a head really, really badly. Now, the way I see it, women's sports are for women, right? I don't think women should be fighting men. I don't think women should be playing against men, because men, for a biological fact, when it comes to any type of physicality, men have a massive advantage. Men have a massive advantage, right? It's like no contest in any way. I'm not exactly that much. I mean, I lift weights and everything like a lot, but I don't do cardio because cardio's for the gays, right? You know, hey, I'll be dead at 50, but. But like, what was I talking about there? Aye, men have a physical advantage over women. It's just a biological fact, right? If I go up and fight against a woman, even if it's a UFC woman, right? You know, if she gets me in a good hold, I'm probably fucked. But see, if it's just striking, I'm gonna fucking win. Her punches are going to feel like nothing to me, and if I land one in her, that's her. She's absolutely crushed, right? Because men have physical advantages over women, which is why when it comes to women's sports, even though pool is probably the least physical, like, of all the sports. Like, even in that, men do have an advantage. So this woman getting up and walking away, she was perfectly within her right to do so. Women want women's sports to be for biological women. I don't see a problem with that. I also have no problem with an entirely new league being created, whether like, trans people, non-binary people, blah, 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 that's fine. This is their league. Absolutely, why? Go nuts. Go nuts, have fun, that's absolutely fine. You want to form your own league, you have every right to do that. However, if a women's sport or even men's sports are saying, this sport's for women or this sport's for men, I have no issue with that whatsoever, because what you're getting now is you're getting female competitors who are going, oh, I've worked hard, I train 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, I do this, I do that. Oh, am I against a man in a dress? Oh, cool. Well, there's all that hard work straight out the fucking window, because I'm never getting first place now. So a lot of them are just quitting and leaving the sport, which I can't blame them for, right? The reason that a lot of people go into the sports is because they think, if I put in enough hard work and energy and like actually work on my skills, there's a chance I could get first place. There's a chance that I could get first place, right? It's the same reason that there's weight divisions in boxing and UFC, right? Like, for example, like, let's pick a small guy, right? Destiny, no offense, right? If I went up in a fight against Destiny, would anyone call that fair? No, they wouldn't, right? Because that's why they have weight divisions. So the separation of men and women's sports is the same thing. It's like sort of like a weight division where people that are relatively on your skill level or physicality level, you're in the same group as them. So at that point, it does all become about like training, skill, practice and technique. It becomes all about that. So you're with people who have similar physicality, then it all comes down to you practicing your skills. That's where hard work comes in, right? However, if you're a woman that's training 8 hours a day and everything like that, and then you're going up boxing against a man, it doesn't matter how much hard work you put in, you are going to get crushed. Men's muscles alone are completely different from women's. Like the way they're structured, their density, even their bones, like everything, it's just so different, and it's not fair. It's not fair. So when things aren't fair, I do the same thing. If a game isn't fair, I walk away from the table. And you're going to see, and over the next few years, you're going to see a lot of that in women's sports.